Hey there, and welcome. Have you ever had that amazing rush of a brand new idea, right? That spark of a fresh start, only to find it, a few weeks later in a folder somewhere half finished? If that sounds familiar, then you are in the right place. We're about to dive into a blueprint that's all about closing that gap between a brilliant beginning and a really powerful, satisfying finish.
Wow, this quote really just cuts right to the heart of it, doesn't it? This is the core promise of the book we're exploring today. It makes you stop and think, how many of our own potentially world-changing ideas are just waiting? The argument here is that our lives aren't really defined by what we intend to do, but by what we actually see through to the end.
All right, so let's get into the why. Why is starting something new so intoxicating? The book we're looking at absolutely nails this feeling, calling it the romance of starting. And you know what that is. It's that magic of pure possibility, the clean slate, the first day of a new workout. It's a shot of dopamine that whispers, hey, this time it's gonna be different. Now, check out the contrast on this slide, because this is where everything changes. The book explains that starting is this emotional, thrilling high, but finishing is an intentional act. That part in the middle, the grind, it's quiet. Nobody's cheering for you. It takes real discipline, not just excitement. And honestly, this is the exact spot where most of our best dreams just fizzle out.
So, what's the real harm, right? What's the big deal about having a few dozen unfinished projects kicking around? Well, the book argues that almost is a total trap. It's not some harmless little quirk. It actually comes with a massive hidden cost. Every single one of those open loops, every half-done task, is carrying a mental and emotional weight that's actively holding you back.
And get this, there's actual science that explains this perfectly, which the source material lays out so well. It's called the Zeigarnik Effect. You've probably experienced it. It's why a server can remember your entire complicated order right up until you pay the bill, and then, poof, it's gone. Our brains are basically wired for completion, and they will nag us about unfinished business, creating this constant, distracting chatter in the back of our minds. And this just illustrates the consequences so brilliantly. The book turns that mental chatter into these three ghosts. First, you've got the focus phantom, always popping up with new ideas and shattering your concentration. Then there's the confidence vampire, which literally feeds on your past quits to drain your self-belief. And finally, the energy thief, just exhausting you with that low-level stress of everything left undone. You can see why a reader might feel stuck. It's not about a lack of good ideas, it's the weight of these ghosts. Okay, so how in the world do we get rid of these ghosts? The book's answer is, honestly, pretty profound. It's not about finding some new productivity hack. It's about a fundamental shift in your identity. To finish things, you have to stop trying to be a finisher and start believing that you already are one. And this is where the book's advice just gets so powerful. It teaches you to see it this way. Every single time you finish something, no matter how tiny, you're casting a vote for a new identity. The identity of someone who follows through. That shift right there is the foundation for everything else. And this slide shows a huge piece of that identity shift. The book basically tells you, stop waiting for motivation. It's just a fleeting spark. It's emotional. It's unreliable. Instead, a finisher works on building grit. Grit is that enduring fire. It's the quiet discipline that carries you through that boring middle part when all the initial excitement is long gone. Okay, so shifting your identity, that's the foundation. But how do you actually build on top of it? This is where the book becomes this incredibly useful, practical guide. It argues that our willpower is finite, right? So you need systems that make finishing the easiest possible option. And here is one of the most important systems it lays out. Big, massive projects are overwhelming, and that just leads to procrastination. So the solution is to break it all down. First, you have to define exactly what done looks like. Then, slice that goal into tiny, manageable tasks. Focus on just one small step at a time. And this is so important, celebrate every single little micro-finish to build that forward momentum. The book uses this amazing metaphor for this process, a giant, heavy flywheel. That first push you give it is incredibly difficult. It feels like you accomplished absolutely nothing. But every single consistent daily push adds a little more energy. And over time, that flywheel starts to spin on its own, creating this unstoppable momentum that carries you forward with way less effort. And this, right here, might be one of the most practical tools you'll get from the book for keeping that flywheel spinning. It's your no excuses push list. For each of your big goals, you decide on the absolute bare minimum action you can take, even on your worst day. See, the goal isn't to make huge progress. It's just to protect the chain of consistency. It's all about showing up no matter what. And now we get to the payoff. Why go through all this trouble? Why build a new identity and new systems? Because the reward for finishing is so much more than just a checked-off box. It's about the quiet, internal transformation that happens when you finally keep the promises you make to yourself. Just look at this list. These are the real benefits waiting on the other side. Finishing clears out all those ghosts we talked about, which reduces your anxiety. It builds this deep, lasting self-trust, that core belief that you are reliable and you are capable. It turns your hopes into actual accomplishments, reinforcing that new identity and giving you the power to take on even bigger challenges next time.
I think this quote from the book just says it all perfectly. Hope is a beautiful feeling, but it's often temporary. That feeling of wholeness, of integrity, that comes from seeing something all the way through to the very end. That is a deep, lasting satisfaction that the book can help you find.
So let's just end with this question. If you feel like you're stuck in that cycle of almost, this book offers a really powerful blueprint to finally change that narrative. It's a guide to becoming someone who doesn't just dream, but actually does. So, what's that one big dream that's just waiting there for you to write its final chapter?